Okay, welcome back, everyone. Our next presenter is Georgina Anderson from the University of South Carolina, and she's going to present her short talk on Novice STEM GTA's persistent concerns, classroom climate, communication, and effective teaching practices. Thank you so much for sharing today, Georgina. You can begin.
Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm Georgina Anderson, and this is a small component of my doctoral research project. And the papers that are resulting are co-authored by Dr. Michelle Hardee. Thank you for being here. Dr. Kathrein and Dr. Kathrein Ryker, and we're all at the University of South Carolina. So what I'm hoping to share with everyone today is a very, very small slice of a large mixed method study that we did. Very briefly, everyone here is already very aware of all of the importance and challenges surrounding graduate teaching assistants. I'll be sharing a little bit about the strategies that the University of South Carolina uses in preparing and supporting GTAs. And then into the results that we found about the GTA population at the University of South Carolina and what we observed in surveying GTAs during their first semester of their graduate school programs. So these are statistics that have been referenced so many times, and they're almost astounding still. Across all institution types, up to 50%, depending on the survey and the questions asked, of graduate courses involve GTAs at some level of facilitation. 91% of labs are facilitated by GTAs, and the flip side of that is doctoral STEM students report 94 participation in facilitation of labs at some point during their grad school career. And this is my new favorite, GTAs make up at least 20% of the academic labor force. At the University of South Carolina, we have a campus organization, the Center for Teaching Excellence. And among several other very important roles, the Center for Teaching Excellence is tasked with preparing graduate teaching assistants for the classroom and supporting their growth and development over their grad school careers. The two biggest primary programs, and there are several others, but the two biggest are the teaching assistant orientation and then a non-credit bearing course called Grad 701. Teaching assistant orientation historically was a fully in-person professional development. During COVID, it moved to fully online. Some of the lessons learned during COVID were for some of the components of that professional development, the hybrid and online orientation allowed students to have more flexibility, allowed more engagement from other departments. That was a really important takeaway there. And then the Grad 701, that course for first semester graduate students is largely choose your own adventure, where students select from a very, very wide range of professional development opportunities, choosing what fits their schedule, their own perceived needs, and what supports they need. There are some departments on campus that have their own equivalent of Grad 701, At the time this research was conducted, biology did not. This study was a mixed methods study, and we had iterations from fall 2020 up till fall 2022, collecting data from well over 1,000 Newt graduate students on campus. We had several surveys at different time points during the semester asking a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions. So we had surveys immediately before and immediately after TA orientation, and then following up through grad 701 and those equivalent courses, we followed up with a mid-semester survey and an end-of-semester survey. Very, very general basic outline of the demographics that we found. Most of our graduate TAs, as expected, were in their 20s. We had a slightly higher proportion of females than males, and we had about 3 times more non-international students than international. Throughout the rest of this talk, you're going to hear GTAs lumped into one of 4 different doctoral program categories. Either STEM, healthcare, social sciences, or other. And these lists of specific degrees are not exhaustive. Just a sample of some of the things that were in each of these categories. The STEM is pretty self-explanatory. Healthcare were programs that were largely patient-facing. Social sciences, and then the other were literature, writing, history, the arts, business, those sort of graduate programs. GTAs were in, there were more enrolled in STEM and other programs and fewer in the healthcare and social science programs during the semesters in which data was collected. Very briefly, in the pre to post TAO data, the 2 key questions that were asked that were interesting in the responses that we got, we started to look at a very high level about teaching self-efficacy, how confident GTAs were in their ability to complete the teaching related responsibilities they were assigned that semester. With the caveat that the range of responsibilities between departments, between the courses TAs would be working with was vast. Notably, nearly 100% of all GTAs after TAO were at least somewhat confident that they would survive their first semester. Similarly, we found a high level of confidence after teaching assistant orientation in GTA's ability to find teaching related resources. And this is a key, one of the clear goals of TA orientation was to let new students on campus know about all of the resources that University of South Carolina is fortunate enough to offer to graduate students and undergraduate students as well. Now getting into some of the data. This is again, at that post-TAO time point, and this actually comes from some qualitative data that was collected, we looked at the top 10 concerns that graduate teaching assistants stated they had. And time management, balancing the multiple roles and responsibilities that GTAs have was more notable than any of the other things in the top 10. Across all programs, across all degree types, the biggest and most glaring concern was time management and how to balance everything that graduate students are expected to balance. These next 3 slides get into some of the data that we saw from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester. So very, very briefly, orienting ourselves to what's shown here. These are quantitative data collected using a 5-point Likert scale, 5 being things that were of most concern, 1 being things that were not at all concerns of GTAs. And I have pulled out 3 pieces that were interesting for different reasons. So the scale here, 1.5 to 3, that's a snippet of that 5.0 Likert scale. We have the p-values and the effect sizes shown. Blue dots closed are the beginning of semester. Open dots in blue are end of the semester for STEM. Healthcare is in green. Social sciences orange, purple, and other in orange. What's notable here is we see some key differences between the STEM GTAs and the GTAs everywhere else on campus. We see differences at the beginning of the semester. We see differences at the end of the semester. This mirrors what a lot of the literature says, that STEM classes are largely seen as gateway classes. They're difficult classes, and maybe the difficulty can even be exaggerated in some cases to mythological proportions. But we did see some big differences both at the beginning and the end of the semester in STEM grad students compared to grad students on the rest of campus in various programs. The next area that we saw interesting differences between STEM graduate teaching assistants and graduate teaching assistants in healthcare, social science, and other programs was in communication. There was more higher proportions of GTAs noting reluctance to speak in front of a class, hesitation about communicating in English, handling emails from students. So this may be another area where GTAs could use extra support, specifically in STEM programs that GTAs on other parts of campus might not need as directly. And finally, this is my favorite. Not necessarily because we have big differences between STEM students, STEM graduate students, and other places on campus, but because nearly universally, GTAs across campus saw or reported an increase in their concerns regarding using effective teaching methods from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester. And this brings us to some opportunities where GTA support could be enhanced. This implies that there might be a key time point. This is this fourth bullet point here. A key time point at the very end of that first semester into the beginning of the second semester where GTAs have realized that they need more support in effective teaching methods. A lot of other concerns at this point in the semester have decreased. They're less worried about, will the projector turn on? They're less worried about, can they handle a confrontational student? Will there be emergencies in the classroom? What about cell phones? All of those sorts of things. And GTAs are saying that they would like more information, more support about pedagogy and effective teaching practices at the end of that first semester. Couple other opportunities that we could enhance GA support. That time management component that is a perennial concern. Specific supports for international students, or if those supports are in place, helping those students navigate to them, and also a call for formative, non-evaluative classroom observations that could be helpful to GTAs. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there is anything I can clarify or talk about in more detail, I would be excited to do that.
Thank you, Georgina. This is great. I love seeing all that data. I'm curious, did you get any feedback from the various students about any perceived differences that, between whether it was their training or what was different about those students to have such, between the STEM and others? Could you figure that out?
University of South Carolina is a big campus, large student population, and there are just enormous differences from department to department in the roles that GTAs have, in the expectations of GTAs, time-wise, professionalism. I suspect, and I have analyzed some of this data, the different roles that TAs have. It plays a big part in predicting what TAs are apprehensive about. We have programs on campus that not only allow, but expect master's students on day one to be instructors of record. Biology, it is not allowed for biology students, grad students, to be instructors of record, except in very specific circumstances. Students who are solely in a grading capacity versus a student-facing role. That and departments where those are the norms are probably going to dictate a lot of the differences seen.
Interesting. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat, or feel free to turn your mic on and ask those questions. Good luck with your PhD work that you're doing, Georgina. This is a big project.
Thank you very much.
A lot of students. When I saw the act, I'm like 600. That's a lot of graduate students, or over that, but that's amazing.